episode 3 of the Montford Point Marine Podcast. This is your host, Captain Davis. I am grateful for our current and new listeners who are tuning in to discover about the rich history of the first African American men to break down the barriers of segregation by enlisting in the United States Marine Corps. Today we'll be sitting down with a close personal friend of mine, Ivor Griffin. Mr. Griffin is an incredible man who rose to the rank of sergeant during his time in the Marines. His story, like so many others, is quite exceptional, but Sergeant Griffin's time as a Marine has created a generational legacy that now includes his granddaughter, a first lieutenant and graduate of the United States Naval Academy. His stories about his time at Camp Montford Point and in the Fleet Marine Force are eye-opening, and I really hope you enjoyed listening to today's show.
My name is Ivor Griffin. I was born in Philadelphia, PA. I went in the Marine Corps from Philadelphia by going down and enlisting as far as, they had the service, what you called it, a service when you get a certain age. Selected draft. But I went down a little early. And I went down there with a couple of my buddies. The funny part of it was I got called before them, and I was 17 at the time. And I got the call and said, "You're going into the Marine Corps." I said, "What?" "Yeah." So I said, "Well, good." From that time on, I came back home, told my mother. She said, "Well, all right." And I went down to 30th Street Station where they had given me orders, and I met other Marines that was going on. And at that time, I didn't know too much about segregation. They had some in Philadelphia, but not like what I was going to meet. And got on the train going to Wilson, North Carolina. And when I got to Wilson, North Carolina, that's when it hit me. Got off at Wilson, supposed to get a bus from Wilson, North Carolina to Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Camp Lejeune.
Yeah, Camp Lejeune, but to Jacksonville, North Carolina. So we got on the bus. I was sitting down, getting ready to sit down. "Boy, I'm talking to you. What is it?" "You got to sit in the back." And I started. A black gentleman was on there. He lived probably there. He said, "Go back there and do what he said, and you'll find out sooner or later." So, okay. But anyhow, bus took us to Jacksonville, North Carolina, to a little old station. A little station where the blacks went had a little cubby hole in there and a little bench. But when we got there, it was a bunch of men in uniform. And this man said, "All right, you skinheads, get on the truck, 5x5. I looked around, and I'll always remember his name was, doggone, I can't think of the name. But he was a MP there. And we got on the bus, and it took us to Montford Point Camp. And we got off, said, "All right, jump on off, you skinheads." We jumped on off. First place we went to was a barber shop. Well, at that time, I was wearing what you call, not a fro. It's different from a fro. We use it, they had, at the barber shop, they put the stuff in your hair, and it made your hair slick.
Oh, okay. I remember that. Like the conking, right?
Yeah, we call it concholine. And I got there, and they said, "Oh, we got a lover here." I say, "What you say?" "You're a lover, aren't you?" I said, "No, sir." Oh, yes, you are. So he told the barber to cut all my hair off except for that, and made me had a little pompadour. And you know, when you use that stuff, you got to go and take care of it, and your hair, it'll turn red. Yeah. And anyhow, they start calling me Rooster. So I got in this platoon, and the platoon 549, and we went to the PX, little small PX. Got a bucket, scrub brush, Tide, starch, and other stuff that you use for personal. So that's coming out your pay. Oh my God. Then we got to the platoon. You're in platoon 549. And this is your drill instructor. He wasn't no big guy, but he was mean. All right, you skinheads, line up. I said, sir, I said, line up. Fall in.
This is the same gentleman you said was a private, correct?
Yes, private, yeah. Now, he had a corporal over him and a sergeant that was over him. They had, well, I think they had about 5 platoons. And the sergeant was over, buck sergeant was over 5 platoons. But this, his name was Private D. Shields. I never saw him, haven't seen him since. They said he went on, shipped overseas. He never made it. So.
You never made it overseas or never made it home?
Never made it overseas. So, it was no investigation, I don't think. But anyhow, we had him, and he took us to our chores, told us what we were supposed to do and how we were supposed to do it. And when he says fall out, he means fall out. And if any of you say that, well, hey fella, what is this? Rifle. We had gotten our rifles. That's a gun. He says, a what? It's a gun, sir. I said, uh-oh. I start thinking, I say, this guy is slick. So, don't you ever say gun. Don't you ever tell me that's a gun. I tell you where your gun is. You know where he meant, don't you?
I know exactly what he meant.
So, anyhow, we go through our chores each day. We had to run to chow, and I march to chow, run back to a barracks. And he'd take us out, had the Marine Corps manual. We all got a manual. And he'd take us through there, tell us what to do, read it and everything. And if one person messed up, everybody paid for it. So they finally found out that I was in the Drum and Bugle Corps. So I knew how to march, do right face, left face, and all that. Say, you are going to be our right guide. Had 3 squad leaders. Well, at the time they had right guide. At that time we didn't have the pennant. We had to have rifles.
Okay.
So anyhow, we'd go out and we'd go through our chores, and sometimes we didn't get no lunch, or dinner, lunch rather, and he would be kicking butt like. And we had one fellow thought he was slick, and he says, Ivor. I said, what? I'm going to pretend I'm falling out. I said, I don't think you better do that. Oh, I'll do it. He starts staggering. What's wrong with you, son? He fell out in a puddle of water. Oh, so you done fell out, huh? Well, we'll see. He jumped up on that tree right over him and broke the biggest limb and come down and start whipping on it. He said, I'm going to do it, so I'm going to get up and march. I'm going to get up and do it. And he was doing like up in the arms, shoulders. I don't think they do that too more. We up in arms. And he had him running around the squad.
Right.
And he said, now, if you feel like you want to fall out, let me know now so I can start whipping on your ass. All right. So, a funny part of it, we had a young man in there, a young boy, and he was just about your size. And he's going to beat up on this young man named Green, and Green was big too. He said, Green, I'll come and kick your so-and-so. Green could, I know Green could have whipped him. But anyhow, at the time, our drill instructors lived on one end, and they had a door.
Oh, the squad bay.
Yeah. And Private Griffin, I said, yes, sir. Who's that out there? Who's out there making all that noise, saying they're going to whip somebody's ass? I says, so-and-so and so-and-so, sir. Send him in here with Private Green. Yes, sir. I said, you guys, you heard him. Go on in. So we got him in there. So you're going to whip Mr. Green's ass, huh? Yeah, he keep messing with Green. I haven't done anything to him, sir. That's all right, Green. First thing, somebody bring me a bucket. Got a bucket, turned it upside down, and you, young man, start in step. What they call it?
Marching?
They call it in place.
In place, okay.
In place step.
In place.
On the bucket. Doop, 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 doop. You hear him. Doop, 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 doop. So I'm getting tired. All right, I tell you what now. Private Green? Yes, sir. You see that cigar there? Yes, sir. Light it up for me. Cut it in half and light it up for me. And puff up, get it smoking now. So, sir, what you want me to do with it now? Give it to the young man there. I don't know what his name, I forget what his name was. And put the bucket on top of his head with the cigar. And he was puffing. He was just a coughing. Ah, sir, I can't breathe. I can. I can't breathe, sir. Well, I can. So anyhow, after a time of doing that, he said, Private Green. I said, yeah. Pick him up and put him up on the side down, turn him upside down, and with the partition, put his feet so his feet is on the partition, and let him hang there. Sir, I'm going to fall. Go ahead and fall. Sir, I'm going to fall. I'm a fall, sir. And after a while, he started crying. He fell. He said, sir, I'm only 14 years old. He said, what? Sir, I'm only 14 years old. Oh, my goodness, you heard all the cursing. Greg, get him out of here. And he was gone the next day.
He was a recruit as well.
Huh?
He was a recruit?
Yeah. He was gone the next day. 14 years old. He looked every bit of 18 and 19. You think I'm kidding?
I believe you, actually.
Yeah. So we had a fella, he didn't turn and said that, sir, my gun is something on my, oh, Lord. You said what? My gun. He said, I'll tell you what. You see that building there? climb up on top of it and take your gun out and have your rifle in your hand. Say, this is my rifle, this is my gun. This shoots bullets, and you know what the other. Yeah. He did that for about an hour, and people go by and say, look at that fool up there. All right, he came down. Other times we would go and be drill all day. Another time, we had to go and see the alligator. Now, alligator, now I don't know where they issue these locker boxes. Do they still issue those boxes with a shelf in it?
Yes, they do.
We're going to see the gator tonight. You're messed up. You're messed up. So what we had to do is gravel. It's gravel there now. We had to get out, get that locker box, put it on shoulder, and a rifle on another, and march on that gravel. And march, and that's while I heard, uh-oh, what happened? Find it. The mosquito bit me. Find him. So one hit me in. I said, here. Said, yeah, I found him, sir. All right. Everybody gather around. Dig a hole. Now put him in there. Bury him. And say a prayer over him. Guy said a prayer on him, over him. And I said, what did I get into? But there were so many things that happened to my platoon while I was in there that I take another example. In the mornings, when we had our roll call, you see them called out by platoon numbers. So-and-so platoon, one man missing, sir. He done left. So-and-so platoon, two men missing, sir. That's all right, they won't get far. Then after that, we run. We had to run every morning and come back and go and get ready for chow, breakfast. But that's just a little bit of what happened in the boot camp that I came through. I came through it, and I got in communication. I was one of the first blacks that went to communication school. They had started a school on one end of Montford Point camp.
Oh, they did, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I went to lineman school, 2511. But on weekends, after we got out of boot camp, before we got out of boot camp, on weekends, which is supposed to be our day to go and get ourselves squared away, wash clothes, scrub them, starch them, iron. On weekends, these non-drill instructors would have their girlfriends come on the base and show them how their platoon can act.
Right.
Oh, Lord, they were really proud. You better not mess up. You better not mess up. Another thing, when we had the weekend, Saturday and Sunday off, we had a trough, long trough, with a string of spigots, some on that side, some on the side. And what happened, it was cold water. We'd get our khakis. And I talk about, that's where I really learned how to iron. We have to scrub them khakis, wash them, and we scrub them, and we rinse them out and put them up to dry. And then it was partially dry. We're going to put the starch in it. And I'm telling you, them Marines were looking good. Yeah. Spit shine shoes, starch, clothes. And well, when I finished boot camp, and I got in another unit. And when they got in the unit, everybody, you know, had to go and serve as messman for a while. Did you have to serve as a messman?
I never had a chance to.
Oh, well, everybody had to serve as messman. Very few guys got out of it. I think I missed it. Guys, messmen, they had to get up early, go out there and break eggs for the morning meals. They get up early to break the eggs. And anyhow, after I got in this other outfit, I forget what outfit I got into, I got transferred where I had to go on the ship called, everybody calls it Lejeune. Actually, the correct pronouncing is Lejeune.
I've heard that before.
You heard that before?
Sure.
And got sent overseas to Saipan. We stopped at Guam first, but we went to Saipan. We had some Japanese prisoners there. Yeah. And 5 of the prisoners they had been tried as war criminals. And you want to know what their crime was?
What was it?
They shot down American planes, and they got the pilot. If he had tattoos on him,
They would cut him off?
they skin him and make lampshades out of the tattoos. Yeah. It was cruel, wasn't it? Uh-huh. And, well, stayed there, helped build it up, because I went into what they call, well, you might have heard of 51st and 52nd Defense Battalion.
I sure have.
Well, this was a defense battalion that we were supposed to be in. Didn't fire a weapon. Stayed there for how many? I did a lot of wiring up. Laid wire. And after being there, I think about 7, 8 months, they transferred us to Guam. And that's where we headed to. I'm going to show you what I was MPO. You know what MPO is? Movie projection operator. I was the lineman. I was the electrician. And any other thing. Didn't matter. You did it. You know, because the Marine is a grunt anyhow.
Exactly.
Everybody's a grunt. But you never got no say, oh, you got doing a good job, you know, and all that sort of mess. Built Quonset huts there. I wired them up because the Quonset wasn't hard to wire up. And stayed there till I got sent back to the States, back to Montford Point camp. And I began to go out on Liberty, because at that time we had to have a card, you know. Liberty card. And if you didn't have a Liberty card, you couldn't go. And if your Liberty card got pulled, it's because you did something wrong.
And you go see First Sergeant.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But yeah, I got to know some of the people out there in Jacksonville. We couldn't go into the white establishment. The black establishment was way on the other end. And it was called Kerr Street. Kerr Street. That was the street where the blacks were. Had little joints. They were illegal, but they didn't say anything because they kept us there and kept us there, and we weren't able to go in the white legal joints. Well, we stayed there for a while. Then I got to find out, after I got straightened out, I got to start going to Wilmington, North Carolina. That's where I met my first wife. And we got along and everything. And after a while, they had a billet that was going to Philadelphia.
It was back home for you.
Yeah. You know, our Marine barracks. That's my home. Well, at that time, I had made corporal, you know. And I went and seen Sergeant Major Hashmark Johnson. I said, Sergeant Major, I'd like to go visit my home. And I said, my wife, she's pregnant, you know, and that's my home. I'd like to go. And the place in Philadelphia is called Fort Mifflin. And I'll tell you, Fort Mifflin was a place they had ammo. We were the guards there. And they had ammo there. All the ships that came into the Navy Yard had to drop. Yeah, they had to drop off the ammo there. All the ships that came in, because like for repair and everything, so they take off the ammo and drop it off there. So anyhow, he said, you know, I think you're a good man. He said, okay. Made me in charge of the group. Doggone it. Somebody messed up in the group. And we couldn't go on liberty. We had to stay on. And what made it funny, we had forget what they call it when they got extra duty after your regular hours.
Yeah, we call it EPD.
That's right, EPD. And guess who was out there first? Hashmark Johnson. Pushmore. He was there. He said, you get here. Had a skirmish line. Now, you know where the chapel is? Do you remember where the chapel is there?
Yeah.
Still there. We had to do all that grass around the chapel and we'd go out there. All right, sons, follow me. Skirmish line. He's here. I'm here. Pushing. That went on for 7 days. We got our orders. Got the bus. Went to Fort Mifflin. I stayed there. And I stayed there until 47, 48. And I got on out. I found out I could get me a job as a lineman, Philadelphia Heat, Light, and Power Company, climbing and doing work on electric lines, high tension wires, and I got out. And I stayed out too long. I'm going to tell you the truth. I really tell you the truth. I really missed the Marine Corps. I said, okay, I'm going back in. I went down to recruiters. I couldn't get my rank back. I missed it by a couple of weeks or something. Couldn't get my rank back. My sister, God bless her soul, she tried to go down there and said he got children and everything, you know, stuff like that. By that time I had a daughter. And I said, I'm sorry, he didn't re-up. And I went to Quantico. I re-up, but they did give me PFC. At that time, they didn't have the type of rank they have now. Because the sergeant at that time, he bad boy. Sergeant ran the camps. But anyhow, I went on back down and I got stationed. So anyhow, when I came back in, I met some of the fellows that were stationed with me at Fort Mifflin, and come to find out, they had 85% casualties. The guys that went to Korea.
Oh, Korea.
85% guys lost their leg. And you know, it's something else. I noticed they didn't take them to advanced infantry. They wanted them so bad they'd send them right overseas.
I remember stories about that I've read where guys would enlist or re-enlist,
Yes.
and they didn't even go to boot camp. They just went on the boat straight to Korea and said, we'll figure it out. And you had Marines that fought in Korea.
That's right.
In Sean.
That's right.
And they went to boot camp after they went to fight the war. So.
But anyhow, I met a couple of them. I met one guy who was stationed there. He had lost both his legs. I went to a club in Philadelphia, and I met him at this club. He said, Griff, I love. I said, what? And he began to tell me about the guys that didn't come back. He said, man, they didn't take us to advanced infantry. They sent us right from Fort Mifflin. I don't know. Well, I finally went to, I was sent to 10th Marines. And I stayed at 10th Marines as wire chief. Later on, they transferred me to 11th Marines in Korea. And I was there when the armistice, I got there, I was there a year before the armistice was declared. It wasn't soon after the armistice was declared, I came back. And came back to 8th, 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines. Then I went to 8th Communication Battalion. Sort of got messed up there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, make a long story short, I got busted there because I went out. We had a beer party. I never went on another one. And went out and that beer made me drunk as hell. Came back and somebody came by me and hit me, pushed me, and I pushed back. It was a lieutenant. They took me up I got busted. Said I was disrespectful. Yeah. But anyhow, make a long story short, there was so much in the Marine Corps that I missed. And the men, the black Marines, they just about know everybody that was a black Marine. See? And like the Marines, like you, they didn't start coming in until 49. And when they came in 49, that's when they started going to
Paris Island. Paris
Island, yes. See? So, anyhow, I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and I've met a lot of people, and I don't regret it now. But if I had to do it again, I would know what to do.
Of course, hindsight being hindsight, right?
Yes. So I've had a nice life, and I've retired from the Marine Corps. Then I went in law enforcement and retired from it.
So let me ask you this, sir. When you were a young Marine, did you ever think that you were going to be part of the legacy, such as the Montford Point Marines, or did you just see
No, I didn't. I'm gonna tell you a story about Huff.
Okay.
I was stationed back at Montford Point. So at that time, they used to have what they call a field sergeant major and the regular sergeant major. Huff was like the field sergeant major. And before, when we first come in, you don't remember. I mean, you probably might have heard the stripes flat. The bottom ones, you know, if you get, instead of curved, they had flat stripes. That were the people in the field.
I did not know that. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And he came out and fell us all out. And we lined up hot as hell. You know, he had a high voice for a big man. He had a high voice. He walked back and forth, right in front of the line, right in front of the group, back and forth. And he stopped and stopped. He says, "Look, I'm in charge, goddamn, I'm in charge." And the sergeant laughed. Oh, you find it funny? Come on, son. They didn't believe in running you up, taking for the white man for charges.
Right.
They took care of everything out there in the field.
On the tree line.
That's right. And he took him back there, and you can hear where he's whipping on his butt. Came on when he finished, and he came on out, and he's brushing off the sergeant. "You all right, son? You all right? All right. Get back in line. Get back in formation." He patted, you know, brushing him off and everything. That's how it was. They didn't take no stuff. They did not go before a white man. They took care of that themselves. And like I said, at that time, Three Striper he was the man. He took care of everything, you know. And if it had to be very bad for a man to be taken up on court-martial anything.
I can see that.
Yeah. So you see some of the old time, they tell you, guys didn't play. Didn't play. Now, from what I understand, Hashmark Johnson, he was in the Navy.
And the Army, correct?
Army and Navy. And now I don't know how true this is. This is before 1942. They say that he was what you call a guy who fight for money?
Mercenary.
Mercenary for a Spanish leader in Spain. Forget what his name. But anyhow, I don't know how true it is. He got captured.
Hashmark was captured.
Yeah. Supposed to have been shot the next day. And for somehow, it was a young lady, he must know or something, got him out, got him off somehow. But anyhow, he came in, they call him Hashmark because he's the only man who come in with Hashmarks. And, but he got, they promote him real fast, and, you know, and him and her became brother-in-laws. You want to know how?
No.
It was two ladies, twins, that ran the, call it the house where they go in. Trying to think what kind of house they call it. But they have breakfast there and everything. And they ran it. And her fell in love with one, and Hashmark Johnson fell in love. And Hashmark Johnson probably was almost old enough to be one of his fathers. Because at that time, when blacks went into the military, especially the Marine Corps, if they came in around 42 and 43, they were like 22, 23 years old. See? But as time went, they start coming in at 17, 18, you know. And there's a lot of guys right now I know, like the gentleman that passed.
Talking about Charles?
Yeah. He was, I think he is 96 or 97. Yeah.
So he had to join around about 18.
Yeah. You say about 18?
I want to say
No.
96, the math. No, 16.
We didn't know. You mean when it came in?
Right. No. Yeah, when you
No. A lot of them guys come in, like I said, at 21, 22 years old. So
Okay.
when I came in, I was 17, and everybody along with me were 18, 17. See? Now, like Groves, he was the last group that came in before 49. And he's now 80, 81, 82. I mean, 91 or 92, yeah, because I'm 93. See? So,
You enlisted in 1940,
45,
45,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you re-enlisted in
47. 40. I mean, yeah, 47. Mm-hmm.
So you were in World War II with the 51st and 52nd,
Yeah.
and then you came back and
I wasn't in the 51st and 52nd, but I was in the group that took us overseas. With the ship's name was Camp Lejeune.
Oh, okay.
It was Lejeune. We went to Saipan.
Oh, okay, and then you ran into that. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so, as we know, the Marine Corps is one of those things where it's constantly changing and evolving. How was your experience, in the Pacific versus your time in Korea? Like, did you witness a lot of changes, or did you feel the Marine Corps was much the same?
Well, after we left Saipan and went to Guam, we was in a group called Fifth Service. We was part of it, but we had our own camp. Fifth Field Service, that's what it was called. And we was treated like they treated us all along, up until, times had changed. I gave an example. I had a group of men. They given this group of men to unload a ship. It had a reinforcement rod. You know them long reinforcement rods, them long ones. I mean, real long. One would almost be about from that pole to and we were unloading them. And I was down in the hole, and one of the men, the sailors, spit in the hole, and it come right on my arm. I got hot as hell. I ran up, went up the ladder. Who did this? I don't know. Now, we had a couple guys that was hot-heads. This one guy, he stuttered. He said, "You spit there?" "No, I didn't do it." "Yes, you did. If you raise your hand, I'll knock you in that hole." I said, "No, we're not going to do this." So I was a corporal at the time, and I told who was in charge, I said, "We're not going to unload. We don't have to unload under these conditions." Well, that's that's called like mutiny. And they said, "You're not?" "No." And I told the guys, get off the ship, and we're on shore, what called, and back to camp. I'm told what happened. They came and got us. Nothing was ever done.
Nice.
Yeah, something would have been done, but they knew what. The man hawked up and spit. He must have had a cold too, and that made me mad and made everybody else mad. So I don't know how they got the rest of it unloaded.
I'm surprised and humbled for the simple fact that during the time you guys served, that wasn't an isolated incident. That was probably more common than not.
Yes.
And yet you guys were able to sit there and I get it. There's anger and frustration, but you did your jobs. You did your jobs with so much pride and enthusiasm.
Yeah, we did. We were doing our job. Like I said, the guys had different MOS, and even though we had those different MOS, like I said, mine was a lineman, and But like I said, it turned out lineman, electrician, MPO, movie projection operator.
Just all around.
Yeah. But like I said, when I got out, I began to get sort of lonely. I worked for a Philadelphia Heat Light Company, making good money, making very good money. But I said, look, let me go on back.
So after your time in the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
when do you remember the Montford Point Marine Association establishing itself?
Well, to tell you the truth, I could have joined earlier, much earlier, because Hashmark Johnson asked me about joining. Because I remember when he died. He died at he belonged to an association called that teaches you how to speak. I forget what it's called. Teaches you how to speak, and he learned to speak very well. And he went to this dedication of something in town, and I think they was honoring him, and he got up and told the people to say, excuse me, he said, I don't feel very well. And he sat down and died right there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of sort of tragedy, too, because his wife died running from somebody down the lane I call Lejeune Boulevard to the main entrance. But before you get to the main entrance, it's got two bridges, like here, concrete. One going this way, and another one going this way. And there's water going under there. And she went right between her, the Cadillac, down in the water. And they tried to get out, couldn't get out. She was down there banging. The guy said he could hear her banging. Tried to get out. Yeah. But, like I said, Marine Corps has been good to me in my retirement, And I don't regret it now, even though, like I said, if I had to do it again, I know exactly what to do.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. If I could tell you what I know now, when I first joined, I had no clue what I was doing. My drill instructor was Stats Ron Livens, big black guy from Alabama. He had a low voice, very calm demeanor. His thing was he always bringing in, and he like America's best and brightest. Like he had just gone back from Iraq, He's like America. He used to look at us with such disdain, just America's best and brightest. This is what we have to work with, huh? He would thrash all the time. But the thing was, I remember, we see the walls, the command deck.
Yeah.
You see colonels and captains and generals and commandants, and they're all white mid-deck officers.
Yeah.
And you see black sergeant majors. And I remember one time we had a talk. It's like the whole platoon was brought in. Like in this room, in this group of privates right here, it would either be a sergeant major or a master gurney sergeant or next colonel, maybe even commandant might be in this group. And there's a split. Maybe about a third of us are black. And at the time, it never really rung into me the idea that I could be an officer. It was like you see it in squad days. You seem like the highest you can go is sergeant major. So it took a lot of me being a knucklehead and a lot of good mentorship from black officers and white officers and black staff officers, white staff officers going, hey, Davis, you got some potential. You need to harness that. And sadly to say, it took about 8 years before I heard the name Frederick Branch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, okay, whatever, that's no big deal. And then you realize it is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through Montford Point, the idea of a black officer was probably just impossible.
The one black officer they did have, they put him in the reserves. The first black officer put him in reserve. He never served no time.
So it's incredible. A few years ago, I found myself, I was on the expeditionary unit, I was on a ship, and I was in Bahrain. And I came across, or a couple of Marines came across me. I was visiting, I was on a ship tour, we're celebrating a birthday. And it was like Lance Corporal and a Corporal. And he goes, hey, sir, we're very happy to have you here. I go, oh, I'm happy. It's a nice base, it's a great place to be. No, sir, you don't get it. Like, there's not very many black officers in the Marine Corps. You know, there's not very many prior enlisted black officers. And you're in infantry as well. You're setting the example.
Right.
And it's deeply moving to have a Marine come to you and say you're setting the example. And I say, hey, I'm not going to be a general, but maybe you guys can see this and say, hey, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll see this and continue the legacy. And,
right.
I didn't start this road. You gentlemen like you guys started the road. You guys paved the way for me to be to where I am, for the next Marines to be where they're going to be, hopefully ahead of me that day.
Well, you know, there's so many officers that I've met that said the same thing you said. They said the same thing to me. I know we've had 4 or 5 lieutenant generals, and the main one was Lieutenant General the Flyer.
Frank Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson. And there was Williams, not Graves, Graves, Williams, and a couple others I can't name right now.
I know his name. I met him a few years ago. I'm gonna sound like a fool. All right, we're talking about General Bailey and Black Marine Corps generals.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. But like I said, you know, I am glad to see that our blacks now is going through the Marine Corps. I don't know where they get the proper treatment that they should be getting, but they are advancing. Now, I don't know where they have any more. Right now, black
Actually, last year we promoted our first female African American.
Yes, yeah, I read, yeah. Well, my daughter, my
General Malik.
Yeah, my granddaughter told me that they asked her to go in the infantry, be in the infantry, and I said, "What'd you say?" I said, well, you know, I would have thought at first that she might have said yeah, because she was a star, you know, in soccer at the Naval Academy.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a star. Yeah. So they tried to get her to stay. I said, no, I don't, you know, her father and I said, I don't think it'd be best because I think what it would do would hinder you if you stay there be there as a coach or anything, you know. But well, we had a party here. We had the signs out there and had a tent that went from the edge of the garage to the end of the walkway, and had our friends and everything, and it was real nice, you know. But I think she's a little stubborn, a little hot-headed.
You gotta be a little bit hot-headed to be in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. But anyhow, I don't know where she's gonna go when she leaves. When she leaves Quantico. So, but she's gonna be here. My daughter and her father are gonna be here the 12th, the 11th or the 12th.
Next week?
No, December.
Oh, okay. So yeah, December. TVS graduation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I told, well, they're coming on up here. We'll get together.
She has to be extremely proud. I mean, she has to be. Her grandfather was a Montford Point Marine.
Yeah.
I can't think of no other distinction that sets you up.
Can you wait? I got a picture of her father, me and.
So you were at 8th night in 2016.
Yes.
President Obama awarded you guys the Congressional Gold Medal.
Boy, it was hot that day. I'm not lying. We had Montford Point Marines that was on wheelchairs, and some of them was on gurneys. Yeah, 1 or 2 of them was on gurneys, and but you know, Marine Corps League, they had up under the chairs water and a cap. I got that cap upstairs now. And It was so hot there. I'm going to tell you how hot it was.
Oh, yeah, I know. I worked there. Yeah.
One of the Marine platoons that was out, I think he had a captain or lieutenant or first lieutenant. Guys fell out. That's how hot it was. I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth. I believe it was 100 something that day. That was the hottest, but it was a glorious day.
How did it feel to be recognized for you guys' actions nearly 70 years later?
Tears came to my eyes when I received the medal. And Lieutenant General gave it to me. Lieutenant General Williams, black lieutenant. He was living there at the 8th, yeah. Him and the commandant. I don't know what he was to the commandant because he was living there. He had his family there, the commandant. I think,
assistant commandant.
Yeah, So I felt real proud of myself, seeing people I hadn't seen in years. I seen guys, a couple guys, when I was stationed at Fort Mifflin, Zeke Clauser, and he didn't know me because he got aged, because he was an older man when I got there. Because like I told you, some of the guys came in around 42, 43. Well, he passed now. He was in the Philadelphia chapter. Guys we hadn't seen, man, where you been? Boy, you getting fat and all that sort of mess, you know. And say, you ain't getting no older. I said, oh, man, don't go and tell me that. You know how they're going. Yeah. And it was really joyous, really joyous. But like I said, that was one hot day. And woo! But like I said, they was giving them out. One general was on one side, another general was on the other side. General Williams on one side, another general on this side. And we had chairs lined up, you know, chairs on that side. And young man was following the general with the medals on the arms. Mm-hmm. And as he gave each man a medal, another one was handed to him. He'd walk right on down.
That's got to be something special.
Yeah. I got up. He said, you don't have to get up. I said, yes, I do. I got up.
I wish to extend my deepest gratitude towards Sgt Ivor Griffin for today. His story is one of my favorites, and I enjoy some of the more nuanced tales from his time at Montford Point, which brings me to our next topic. The Montford Point Marine Museum at Camp Johnston in Jacksonville, North Carolina is hosting a gala to celebrate its official reopening after being closed for restoration. This is a unique opportunity to visit some of the original buildings of Montford Point Camp and see some artifacts of a bygone era, and of course meet some original Montford Point Marines. This event will be held on April 30th. If you're interested in tickets or additional information, I will leave a link in the description. Lastly, this organization's intent is to preserve the legacy, and again, I encourage my listeners to consider joining the National Montford Point Marine Association or its affiliate chapters. If you're interested in joining, donating, or have some information regarding the original Montford Point Marine who has not been officially recorded in the archives, please feel free to reach out. Contact information is in the description. Thank you for today's listeners, and I hope to see you in the future as we move forward with this podcast. Semper Fi.